Peace and love. What's going on? You know what time it is. It's Funky Friday. 24 hours later. It's not 24, but 6, 7, 8, 9. That's right. What's up? Peace and love. This is Darius A. Stanton, and welcome to the Peace in the Morning Show. I'm so excited to be here this morning because, first and foremost, we are alive. We're young. We're gifted. And for some of us, we are black. And we are so thankful for that. Because we are grateful to the people that brought us here. So we want to give thanks and praise for all of our good righteous ancestors, all the people who sacrificed, all the people who committed their lives to making sure that their families were able to get to the next level. On that note, we also are thankful for the sun and the moon and the stars and all the planets and all the things that help us to be who we are. All the birds and bees and all the trees and the winds that blow. We're just so thankful, and we don't take anything for granted. And on that note, today, one of the most precious gifts, life itself, is what we want to focus on. We're going to be joined by a brother by the name of Anthony Wilson, who has put together a program. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary. That's right, a 10th anniversary for Fresh Start. And when I tell you it's fresh, and it's so needed, timely in terms of being able to make sure that our young people are able to have a direction. That's what this brother's doing. So we're going to bring him on in just one moment. Anthony Williams, Fresh Start, and we're going to get it popping because what we're talking about is unfortunately what's popping. The guns in our community, the violence that's taking place, the carjackings and people feeling unsafe, not able to go and move and do the things that they need to do. So definitely it's time for us to be able to address this issue. So we'll be right back with my brother Anthony Williams, the founder and executive director of Fresh Start. This is Darius A. Stanton, Peace in the Morning Show. Long tight. Let's get it. All right. Welcome back to the Peace of the Morning Show. Darius A. Stanton live right here with you. Hey, listen, for anybody that knows me for any period of time knows that my entire professional career, professionally and voluntarily, has been focused on two things: keeping us alive, keeping us free. And now I recognize the importance also of us being prosperous. But in order to be prosperous, we have to have something, a tangible asset and a resource. And what we don't realize is our most precious asset, our most precious resource is ourselves. When we're on an airplane and they say, put your mask on first, that's because it's so important that we take care of ourselves so that we can be there and help somebody else. But if we're not fully vested in taking care of self, then that is a challenge. And so without further ado, I want to bring to you a brother who hails out of Prince George's County, doing a lot of great work, but not only in Prince George's County, throughout the world, throughout the country. And that is my brother, Anthony Wilson, Executive Director of Fresh Start and founder. What's up, brother? You on mute? You still on mute?
Yeah.
There we go. That's what it's like when it's live.
Say peace and love. Yeah, peace and love in the morning. Yeah, thank you for having me here. A lot of stuff going on. We have 1 week left next Saturday. we're doing a big event, Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking, Stop the Gun Violence and the Carjackings in the community. Every day, um, I, I'm seeing something come across my phone about another carjacking. Even yesterday, there was a young lady, 11 years old, in Baltimore, who had was involved in a carjacking. So they're getting younger and younger. But I definitely want to give a shout out to Darius, Peace and Love in the morning. I met him years ago. He brought us on our show when Fresh was just getting off the ground. And I definitely appreciate the opportunity to let us on your platform to get our word out about what we've been doing in the community and what we are still doing in the community. Um, is it's disheartening to me right now because of what we've been seeing, not only in our communities but across the states about the youth, the juveniles. It's like there's no connection there. And so what I'm feeling is that we as men, as adults, as parents, as guardians, that we basically have given up. And I don't believe on giving up on anyone unless they give up on themselves. And I believe that all the stuff that is happening in our community with the violence and everything, it's a crowd to us to say, hey, we need help. We have trauma. We have some issues, some mental things that are going on within us, and we just need some help. But that's what Fresh is all about. So for those who don't know about Fresh, we just celebrated 10 years, April 29th. Fresh was given to me through inspiration through God back in 2013 when I saw the young men and young women of Prince George's County hanging on corners, gas stations, begging for money, pants hanging down, looked like they was high up and inebriated. And so the spirit just hit me to say, hey, something needs to be done. So I moved into action, just started talking to the young groups, started going out, giving my vision about mentoring, self-awareness, self-esteem. So I just started Fresh and created a program that has been ongoing for the last 10 years. And so about maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, I met with a young lady and I was telling her about, what's going on. And I said a lot of times, the decisions that we make in our lives dictate our consequences in our future. And I said, we need to teach these kids some things that prepare them for the future prior to them getting out of school and and beginning their life, outside of mom and pop, mom and dad, or in our generation now, it's your grandmothers or maybe a guardian that took over due to some circumstances. So her and I created a program called Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking, and it's a life planning workbook that that goes with the individual for the duration from sixth grade all the way up until they graduate. So I want to show a little bit of this, so they can see it. So this is the Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking workbook. So you will see it's things in here that we go um, over 8 weeks, preparing them for their lifelong journey all the way until they walk across the stage. And so what we will do, not try, what we will do is those that come into our program, we want them to walk across the stage into a career, whether it's uh, some form of military, whether it's college, whether it's apprenticeship, whether it's a job, whether it's some form of self-employment, becoming an entrepreneur. Because what I see a lot of times when the kids graduate, mom and pop say, so what you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. That's what Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking is all about, is preparing them. So when they do walk across that stage, they walking into beginning their lives. So that's what Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking is all about, is beginning them at an early age.
Hey man, I love it, and I want to just again congratulate you on celebrating 10 years.
Thank you.
You know, and you know, I remember we shared talked about we were building the show, just the fact that you know one of the things, one of our first shows, you know, featured your assistant director at the time, you know, and that was one of y'all first, you know, media appearances. So now, you know, y'all in y'all 10th year, and you were able to bring a lot of people out, you know, to support the work that you all are doing, including Angela also, Aisha Brady Boy, the state's attorney, and just a number of others who are in support of the work. And it's so important because when you look at the news and you see what's happening almost nightly with the carjackings in the District of Columbia, Prince George's County, you know, people are scared. You know, you have different cities in this country now where people are slow rolling stop signs and red lights. You know, they're not stopping at the stop sign. They're not stopping at the red light. They're coming through it. In New Orleans, they run the light because they're being carjacked, you know, because they're being robbed at the street light, you know, and that's happening, you know, unfortunately nationwide. But here in the DMV, they even have, you know, joint carjacking task force between DC and Maryland's police, you know, because of this phenomena, right? And of course, the nightly violence that takes place throughout the District of Columbia, Maryland, Prince George's County, Baltimore, Annapolis. You know, this incidences of shooting and violence is we're no stranger to it. You know, but my point is, it has become to a climatic place where at one point in time it was really kind of restricted to people's neighborhoods. But now, you know, fear has just because the violence has spread, and there's so many innocent people that are being impacted, right? Children
Yeah.
6 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old, in their homes being shot. You know, so it just continues to happen, and you all are working to address that by training men, as you said. So I just want to commend you, man, and then the fact that you're addressing it head on because we need other people like you know, to be able to step up into this space. For you, tell me, like, with this event that you got coming up next Saturday.
Yeah. So next Saturday we have an event down at the Walls Farm, 13301 Cherry Tree Crossing, Brandywind, Maryland. It's gonna be from 12 to 1. 12 to 6 p.m. We got a lot of resources out there. We have entertainment. We're gonna have a lot of speakers, officials coming through. I even have some of the counties uh, police departments supposed to come through, and so we just basically want to address the issue of the killings and the carjackings, and bring attention to that. We are accountable. You know, every time I go out and I do some form of speaking engagement, at the end of any of my speeches, I always tell them we are accountable because we are the ones who have been through it, came through the rites of passage. Now it's for us to guide and lead those younger generations. However, because of what's going on with the youth and those who are now looked at as the lost generation, us as adults now, you know, we seem like we just cast them to the wayside. And I don't believe in that because think about if you were, you know, when you were a child, I was a child, and no one took the opportunity to put and invest in us, who says where we may be at right now. And so that's where we stand at on this platform to basically give back and give to the community and tell them and what's going on out here and bring us together as a unity so we can bring back the community. I just have faith in it because I've seen it personally where there's been young men who have come through our program who were going down the wrong road, who was feeling like nobody cared. But when Fresh stepped in and we intervened in whatever that situation that was occurring, maybe through a court situation or somewhere in school through an expulsion because of an incident that occurred, and we stepped in, and those young men, those young women were able to see that someone cared, and they completed school. I got two young men that to this day I still talk to. They was 17 years old, Fairmont Heights and Friendly High School. Both of them was facing expulsion because of a very serious incident, and the parents called out the F.R.E.S.H. And I personally took uh, note to that because I dropped out in the 12th grade. I was going to Anacostia High School. And I remember I really wasn't going to school like I was supposed to. And I remember Assistant Principal Brooks, Mr. Brooks, called me up to the office and he said, hey, man, you seem like you're missing class. If you just come to school for the next 3 months, man, we'll graduate you, man. Just come to school. And when he said that to me, it's like they really didn't care about my education. And I tell the story, when I left Anacostia that day, I never returned, and I just was doing my thing. And I'm telling this story to bring it back to the point of the educational part. So I didn't think I was going to go back to school, but one of my cousins was graduating, and she said something that really sparked something in me. And so I went back and I registered for Northwestern High School that summer because I was 18 years old. And I ended up going back to school and graduating from Northwestern High School. And that was one of the best years of my life because we did so much during that year with I was a senior. So, you had your prom, you had your class trip, and getting prepared for graduation and things of that nature. So with me, I know education is very important. And so with those two young men, I had to explain to the school board at that time that, hey, we're not gonna throw these two young men to the wayside. Look, we got F.R.E.S.H here. We're gonna assist in this. And so they believed in us. They instead of expelling those two young men, they gave them a 10-day suspension, and we made sure that they had their homework from each class each day, so they wouldn't miss those assignments and not fall behind. And those two young men graduated from Friendly and Fairmont Heights, and I was there for both graduations. I got the pictures for both graduations. The mothers told me thank you. Those two individuals actually going to be at our event next week as volunteers. Yes,
Oh,
and
wow.
that was almost like about 7-8 years ago.
So would you say that we, just speaking to that point right there, two young men, here's the formula, because I want people to understand, it seems like it can be hopeless, but I want people to understand that there is a solution. It just requires energy. And you just spoke to it. There were two young men that were from communities that right now, definitely probably in the last, in the last, I know it because I just watched the news. In the last 2 weeks, the violence that's been in their wards has been significant, in the high schools that they come from in DC. And so you brought them into your program, supported them in school, which you didn't have the support of, you just talked about, supported them in the community, gave them some other skills. And now 8 years later, number one, they're alive. Two, they're being productive. And three, now they're giving back to the very community that helped them and the program. And so you created a formula already. The question is, what are some of the other resources that can help Fresh Start? And just so that the folks that are just joining, also let them know, again, the event that you all are having next week so they can come out and support as well.
Right. So please come out to this event. This is our flyer. We're going to be passing these flyers around for all this weekend and all next week. Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking. Stop the gun violence and carjackings in the community. We're going to be at the Walls Farm, 13301 Cherry Tree Crossing, Brandywind, Maryland, August 26, 2023, 12 noon to 6 p.m. Resources, entertainment. Just come out, have a great time for the kids. We're going to have events, but we definitely are going to address the issue of the violence and how we, as the parents, the adults, the council members, we need to be held accountable for the things that are happening in the community. And so with Fresh, like I said to you early on, for those who didn't know, I saw an issue in Prince George's County. I took what I believe that God gave me an inspiration and started Fresh. For those who don't know what Fresh stands for, it stands for Fully Restoring Every Son's Hope. And just because you see the word sons don't mean we don't deal with young ladies. We deal with both the male and the females. And the scripture that came to me at that time, for those that are biblically based, it was Romans 12:2. Be not conformed to this world, but be renewed by the transforming of your minds. And that's the premise that Fresh came from, was that we had to change the way our young men and young women think. And that's the inspiration of Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking came to me maybe like almost 3 years ago, and it was created. We just never came into implementing it. But on the 26th of August next week, there will be 7 students who will have an opportunity to be picked to be a part of the program. Their sponsorship will be paid for, and that's what we're doing now. We're looking for sponsors to sponsor a child. The sponsorship each year, because we're going to do it for each child until they graduate, is $3,000. We're letting individuals know who want to sponsor. You don't have to give the whole $3,000 if you don't have it. Our sponsorship packages start at $25 up to $3,000. So you can sponsor a child for $25, for $50, $100. And if you have any questions about it, you can reach Fresh at 240-938-2166. That's 240-938-2166. You also can go onto our website at www.fullyrestoringeverysonshope.com. And then you can always send out a message on our website. It automatically comes to us, and we can reach back out to you. My thing is, I tell a lot of people that crying about what's going on in our communities, you got to be a part of the solution you want to see. And people are just out here crying about, man, it's bad out here. These kids are. Listen, when we was growing up, and Darius knows this, all our parents had to do was pull that belt up, and we would be straightened out. You know what I'm saying? But now these kids don't even wear belts around their own pants, because they out there sagging. And it's sad, but the thing about me is, in our organization and those who are affiliated with us, we don't talk about the problem. We find solutions for the problem. And that's why I appreciate Darius, because he reached out and was like, hey, I want to put you on my show. I want to make sure this message gets out so we can have more people be involved in this movement and reforming and transforming our kids' lives. And so I want to show something like with a Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking. If you see this right here, I was telling a young man about this program almost 3 years ago, and I told him my vision, and he created this for me. I didn't create this road right here. You see 3 roads, and it says choices, decisions, and consequences. And that's the one thing that all of us in life has to do. We have to make a choice. We have to make a decision about something that's going on within our lives. And then behind it's going to be a positive consequence or a negative consequence. And so this was something that was created. And now I just want to implement it based on everything that's going on in today's society. And I also want to put this out too. We created a program called Knowing Your Rights and Engaging in the Legislative Process. So we did that some years ago when we saw police brutality against young Black and brown urban youth. And so what we did was we started going around the country and in those neighborhoods, in those towns, in those cities. Like we went to a place called North Augusta, South Carolina. Population, all Blacks, overseen by white police officers. When we finished that program up there, the adults didn't know that they had a 4th Amendment right to not be searched. They didn't know they had a 5th Amendment right to remain silent. They didn't know they had a 6th Amendment right to a lawyer, to counsel. And so those were the things that was so important to those individuals within that town. And we done traveled to all across the country. And even in Prince George's County now, we are going out and we getting youth from all 9 districts. And we want to teach this curriculum to show the council members that this curriculum is very important. The Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking is going to be the first time that it's ever going to be implemented. And we definitely want to see the success with all those who join our program. The thing that after a long discussion and consideration, we realized that those who are in the program, they got to want to be in the program. We understand that those who are going to be in the program, we have to stay vigilant and constant and consistent, because as you get into a program like this, sometimes you get worried, sometimes you get tiresome, and you're like, well, I don't want to do it anymore. And so we want to create those things that keep those individuals in the program engaged, excited about the program, you know. So those things that we're going to do, like we're going to take them on college tours. We're going to take them to apprenticeship. So this program is so deep that to explain it all, it's like it's overwhelmingly positive though. You know, like if a young lady said, I want to be a nurse, we got nurse schools that let them do what they call shadowing, or a couple of weeks internship to see if that's something they want to do. If someone wants to be an attorney, I have law firms. I'm a retired paralegal investigator. I have law firms that will have those individuals come in and see what it is to be an attorney, or to be a paralegal or a legal assistant. So those are the things that are going to be offered to those individuals who become a part of Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking. Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking, it will be randomly selected. So those parents that come in to the event next Saturday, they will be given a card, and they will have to put their child's name and the grade they in. It's only 6th grade all the way up to the 12th grade, and then we will select them, and that child is part of the program, and their sponsorship is paid for. And so that's what we're doing with Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking.
Hey man, I love it. Give the folks your number again so that they can contact you.
So if you want to contact me, our contact number is 240-938-2166. That's 240-938-2166. And definitely, like I say, we got to be a part of the solution we want to see. And a lot of people, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care about ruffling feathers, you know, because I'd rather see a young man or a young woman life straighten up than you to be hurt by what I say in your feelings. Because I hear a lot of old people, us, cry about what's going on, but you're not doing nothing about the situation. That's why I go back to say, be a part of the solution you want to see. So I don't want to hear no crying. Well, this and that. I get calls all the time. I retired as a paralegal, and so I got 3 calls last week about 3 women sons. One was involved in a stolen car incident, and I was so frustrated. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I put on my Facebook page, I'm retired. Can people please stop sending people to me about taking family members and friends' cases? Because I used to do that. I used to take on cases. I used to be very vigilant in that area. But right. I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. That was a part. I helped a lot of people out. I still got family, friends that still send me, man, thank you. You was very instrumental in that part. But that's why I advocate now. That's why I teach. I have a class where I teach families how to navigate through the judicial process. So I have a curriculum where I teach you that if you get arrested, what happens during the course of your arraignment. I just start from the interrogation. I start from your interrogation to the commissioner, to your arraignment, to the grand jury, to your indictment, to your pre-trial motions, all that. A lot of people don't know about those things. I teach that.
So you teach that in the class?
I teach it around whoever calls. I tell them about the curriculum. There's a small fee to the class, and I teach this, and I let them know, hey, because a lot of people, we laymen of the law, so we don't know that once we pay a lawyer, or we don't know once we got a public pretender, that they are the ones who are negotiating your life between this prosecutor and this judge. So there's a lot of things that you don't know that you're entitled to. Dude, I don't know if there is. You know what a motion for discovery is?
Motion for discovery, I believe, is when you want to see all of the evidence of whatever the other, what they have in terms against you, saying that you committed or whatever the crime is, whatever
Okay,
they use to do that.
are you on point? Now, when I'm in my class, I make everything simple. I say discovery is what was discovered during the investigation. That's what
Right.
discovery is. So whenever you see the crime scene tape out there, and you see that crime scene investigator, or you see the detectives, or you see them combing the neighborhoods with their pads and pens, that is what is discovery. It's what was told to them by witnesses, what was found on the scene in regards to bullet shell casings, blood, evidence, materials, clothing, whatever. And so when I found out a lot of times when I was doing cases was that they withheld evidence. So you might have had evidence that could have pointed to someone else that excluded you. So they got something called exculpatory evidence and inculpatory evidence. So I explain to people simple. Exculpatory, exclude, exculpatory. That's evidence that is oftentimes withheld in criminal cases. We got include, inculpatory means to include, mean there's evidence that is showing that you probably was part of this particular crime. So that is something that is very, very dear to my heart. I'm gonna teach that until I leave this earth, because a lot of times people don't know, and I get a lot of parents that call out to me and cry to me like, the lawyer, I haven't talked to the lawyer. I gave the lawyer 25,000, and I haven't heard from the lawyer in 6 months. And I
What?
said, yeah. I said they got what they wanted already, And I say the thing is that I became a advocate and consultant at the time, and I would help a lot of families. A lot of lawyers didn't like me, but I used to tell them, I don't care if you don't like me. The thing is, you got paid, and now you're supposed to represent this family and protect that son or that family member's rights, and you're not. You just want some free money. And so my thing is that you always got to keep people, and go back to keeping people accountable.
So, just the fact that people have representation and still aren't being represented. I noticed what you spoke about when you talk about defense attorneys. I think you might use another word, in terms of the public defender. The people that are set up through our tax dollars to defend, folks in court. And you teaching that system is so important because unfortunately, we have a lot of young people who are teenagers who end up being charged as adults, and they take felony pleas because one, they just don't want to be locked up in an adult facility. Two, they don't want to be incarcerated, period. And three, in a lot of instances, they just want to get right back out on the street and doing what they were conditioned doing because that's what they know at the time. That's what they know at the moment. And they take those pleas. But once they take those pleas, that's it, because now they're going right back to do what they were doing. So they get picked up now, they got a felony. And the felony now, you broke your deal. So now that they were talking about giving you before the plea. And now when you come out, you got a record. Not only do you have a record, but you got a plea deal. I mean, you now have all these other things that you're a felon. So now you can vote in Maryland, but that's it. There's places you can't go. Well, actually, this state has been very aggressive in terms of the legislation to support returning citizens, but there's so many instances where they're not. But speak to that in terms of just the whole plea situation and how our young people get kind of tricked into that process.
Okay, it's coincidence you brought that up, because a young lady called me about her son, and they wanted her son to take a plea, and she asked me what should she do. I said, first of all, I don't know the facts of the case. I said, as just a pearly investigator, I can never give legal advice. I did learn in law school something from one of my law professors that told me, Tony, paralegals can't give legal advice, but they always can give their opinion. All right. And so what I told her, I said, in my opinion, I would ask that attorney to sit down and talk with you. If that attorney doesn't want to sit down and talk with you, he definitely doesn't have the best interest in your son, right? I said, second of all, you need that attorney to break down every aspect of why they are taking that plea. And I said, I want you to ask that attorney this one question and see how his face looks or her face looks when you ask this. Ask them, can I please get a copy of the discovery in the case? And most of the attorneys know that no family members know nothing about discovery. And that's the one thing. I have had attorneys who ask clients who have called me, this was years ago, and they was like, what you want the discovery for? What you mean what I want the discovery for? That's my discovery. That is what's being used against me to prove or disprove certain facts that is going to be considered by either a judge or a jury. And so when you take a plea, you're actually giving up your rights. So that's the thing about plea agreements. A lot of times, like you just said, there's when they take the plea, the felony is put on their records. Now they got another hurdle that they have to overcome. So now your job situation. I had a woman call me about a week ago about her son, saying that he's been going out, he's been doing good, but every time he goes to fill out an application, his felony comes up and it pops up, and then it discourages him again. And so what I found is that when you have a lawyer that wants you to take a plea that affects your future, you need to really sit down and consider whether you want to have this attorney represent you. And also, a lot of times what a lot of defendants don't know is that you can speak up for yourself. And I always tell individuals to speak up for themselves. Why? Because you want to put everything on the record. So if you feel like your attorney is not properly representing you, that they missed some certain factual evidence that could have been considered during the time of the plea, you can bring out, say, hey, Your Honor, it's something I would like to say. And then you could say, hey, Your Honor, well, it was a witness in my case that said I was with them that night, at the movies, but my lawyer won't call the witnesses in. So now this has been brought out, but your lawyer didn't want to bring that out. And those particular facts, they basically mitigate the circumstances in your case. And so a lot of times we don't know those things. And so that's what my curriculum is all about, is about preparing and assisting with your defense. And a lot of times when you do that, you basically are hindering the state from railroading you. If you ever heard of the word railroad, right? A lot of times, a lot of defendants get railroaded. I want to mention this one organization that I really like and how they created something. It's a young lady. I don't know if you heard of it. There's a young lady named Kiana Johnson. She started a program called Life After Release, right?
Hey man, listen, that sister, if we could just give props to somebody right now, that's just the sense, getting involved in this movement and starting the process based on, the situations that she dealt with personally, has been phenomenal. I mean,
Yes.
she has been like on the forefront and helping so many women get released from just bail. They're not
Big
even
Mama. Yeah, it's called Big Mama Bailout.
Big Mama bailout. That's what they call them.
I support her. Her and I, hey, look, I met her when she was on the ground coming up, when she was just starting, and she was full of fire. Her and I, we became real close, and we had our little disagreements here and now because her position, my position, she was, I told her every organization has their own mission. Our mission was youth and returning citizens. She was into the returning citizens, but she was more on women were not being recognized in the penal system when they was coming home. And so I looked and I said, you know what? I never thought about that. So she told me, and she was basically saying that women are like thrown to the side, but if you see a man, men are supported by women, but there's no men supporting women that are going through the same thing we're going through.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, and I want us to talk about that for a minute because we talked about resources, and you see Anthony Wilson's This is Anthony Wilson, Executive Director and founder of Fresh Start now in this 10 years. And, their whole focus is to help young men really be able to change the dynamic that and the trajectory that a lot of them are going in because of the challenges they have in school, because of what's going on in the home, because of the violence in their communities, because of just the social media lore. And like, if you're not part of a fight or a clique or a gang or whatever that's out there negative, you kind of out of sorts. And so Fresh Start is really helping young men, and they've got a program and an academy that they're now going to be putting in place that they've been doing, but now they have a new one coming up, and they got a curriculum that's actually helping young people. That's actually giving them the roadmap. You see the choices, consequences, choices, decisions, and consequences. That's a big part of what their program is about, and they need people to volunteer, to be trained to do this work. They need funding and resources to be able to pay people to do this work. You can't ask people to volunteer to do something that takes your time and energy on a full-time basis. This is an overtime type work. This is not the kind of work where people can just afford to do it, a part-time or when they get off. This has got to be something that people are paid to do. Sure, we need volunteers, but we also need people who are on the ground. We're in a crisis time. You see how fast they paid people during, COVID, right? They got testers and people to check to see if you got the shot and all of that. Well, right now people are dying, 300-400 people being shot in one city at a time in 1 year. Excuse me, not even at a time, in 1 year, right? And that's been happening for 30 years. It's an epidemic. It's a crisis. So we got to treat it like that. And this brother has a program that will, work with our young people and get them beyond the finish line, and help them, as he has 2 young people that are coming back to his program next week to volunteer, and give the information about next week. And once we do that, we're going to get ready and wrap. But I want people to, I want us to get into the conversation about why it is that we need to have men out here in our community joining you and doing this work. So tell me about next week.
Yeah. So next week, August 26th from 12 noon to 6 p.m. at the Walls Farm, 13301 Cherry Tree Crossing, Brandywind, Maryland. Come out for Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking, back to school, stop the gun violence and carjacking in the communities. You can contact me at 240-938-2166. That's 240-938-2166. We're looking for sponsorships to get our 7 kids in a program called Fresh Start, Fresh Thinking. Decisions, choices, and consequences. This is an 8-week program, but the program follows each youth that is chosen for our program for the duration until they graduate and walk across that stage in the 12th grade into a career. And so we definitely want to thank Darius in the morning, Peace in the Morning, for having us on his show this morning to put past this word out. And we hope to see you there next Saturday.
All right, brother. Well, we definitely want to make sure that the information gets out, and we're gonna continue to support the work that you're doing. And as we wrap up, I just want you to emphasize the significance and the importance. 2 things. One, I want you to tell people the type of environments that these young people are coming from that is making them. When I say environments, let me be more specific. What's happening in their homes that's making them feel like they need to be or tied to something that's going on in the street that's much greater than home. And then secondly, how important is it for people to get involved and volunteer, donate money, bring awareness to this issue, and stay focused on it?
Okay, so the first thing is dealing with the family setting is that a lot of times when you see those gangs that come together, you wonder why all those individuals are impacts. Is because at home they're not feeling that they're part of anything, that they're not receiving love. That most times, like we got when we was coming up, we had the Sunday cook dinners, we had the evening talks when we came home from school, and now that has passed, and now these kids now the parents don't even take time out to get to know who or what this child is doing, who their friends are. Hey, Durs, you remember back in the day, we didn't have the cell phone, so your mother would say, "Where you going at? I'm going over to White House. Let me call Mike's mother." You know, and when you might,
Yo, my mother used to call me. I be growing up in Baltimore City. She be yelling, Darius!
yes,
Oh, you can hear that through all the alleys, you know. And then
exactly,
I'm like O.J. Simpson jumping over the trash cans to get up there because it's dark now. You know what I'm saying?
exactly, and
And then
that's when the story.
they had the little thing to clip on 11 o'clock news. It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? You know, it was an emphasis on that. That was, that was important.
Yeah, we go back to the lights. Our parents used to say, "Be home before the street lights come on." Remember that? so so those things that are not there anymore. Why do you got a 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old child out in the street at 2, 3 in the morning and their parents don't know where they at unless they get a call about the child locked up, the child been involved in a crime, or the child has been murdered? That's not right, and that's showing about the home. What you're saying is that there's no love in the home. And if you read our program when we first started Fresh, the first thing that we got in our program is the love is missing in the community, and Fresh has come back to bring the love of a community that feels this love, and that's our first thing we say in our program. And so that's the thing that I see there in regards to us needing to bring back those individuals who have been traumatized through some type of family event, who have been through some type of mental illness or whatever it is they're going through from an imbalance or whatever it may be in them mentally, and so we can work with them and get them the help that they need. Regarding to funding, funding is always needed. I always tell people God provides, that. And so my thing is, if you feeling in your heart that you would like to give, just contact Fresh. We'll tell you which way. We have an app on Cash App. It's Fresh. It's money sign Fresh Hope 2013. Money sign Fresh Hope 2013. Or you can Zelle us through our number 240-938-2166. We always give out tax deductible receipts if you give out any clothes for kids who don't have clothes for returning citizens. So anything you do, you always can get a tax receipt. We have our tax ID number there, so you can write it off. And so all we do is say if you want to see a solution, be a part of the solution you want to see. Be a part of the change.
Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. You heard how to be involved. You heard what's needed. You heard about what our young people are dealing with and the environments that they're coming from, that's precipitating, this violence. I saw a clip the other day on social media where they were having I believe it was staged, but they were having a surprise birthday party for somebody, and the young boy, I guess he looked like a teenager, young adult for sure. When he came to the door, they said, "Surprise!" And he pulls up his shirt and pulls his gun out and does like this. Now, people in the comments was like, and his mother came and like, "Ho, baby, ho." People in the comments was like, that was funny, and so a lot of people then, flipped and was like, "Nah, that wasn't funny at all."
Yeah.
But the fact that we have used media to really desensitize our community about something that is killing us. I want to just put this in your mindset, as we close. I want you to think about this. We have music that is permeating our community, videos that's permeating our community, where it's encouraging us to shoot and kill at each other. It's encouraging us to take pills and mollies and pop pills that are taking us out of the state that we belong in. Music that's encouraging us to continue to drink alcohol, understanding or not understanding, overstanding that 50% of homicides, suicides, and sexual assaults roughly involve alcohol. So that's 1 out of 2. Think about that. Sexual assaults, homicides, right? And domestic violence. Those 3 things are driven, and by alcohol, right? And so if we know that, what are we doing to address that? But then beyond that, once you recognize that and you see that our communities are now tied to this music and this music is encouraging it, we gotta shut that down, because the same music that they were involved in or listening to before they went and shot somebody, before they got shot, the music they were listening to that got them all amped up and hyped to go, do this drive-by is the same music that the family's going to listen to at the repast. And so I want people to understand that, the same music that we're enjoying that's killing us is the same music that we're enjoying after we're mourning the loss of the loved one that just died, from the same music that articulated what it is that's killing us. That's sick.
Yeah.
That's sick. And we have learned to enjoy our trauma, and that's not acceptable. So fresh start, fresh thinking is what Anthony Wilson is doing. Please support the brother. You see his number 240-938-2166. If you can't get out to his event next week, if not, call him up, find out how you can get involved, how you can donate. He's bona fide. He's a 501c3. He's serious. He got serious partners. You got a council member that's going to be a part of your event. Hey, the brother needs help, and he's standing up. So if you want to know what are we doing about it, bam, right here, this is what we're doing. So Anthony Wilson, man, it's always a pleasure, brother. I love to see the work that you're doing. Look forward to working with you. You can also bring him in as a consultant to teach communities, programs, organizations, young people about their rights, and he can guide them in that direction as well. So he's a tremendous resource in our community, brother, and we are so glad that that we connected and you out here doing what you do, because we don't have a whole lot of people on the front line that's not doing it for some other reason, but you doing it for the real deal. And on that note, peace and love. So give it to him next Saturday. What time? Where is it again?
12 noon, 13301 Cherry Tree Crossing, Brandywind, Maryland. The Walls Farm. Come out, have yourself a great time, and receive a message of hope and prosperity, and return to our communities where we stop gun violence and carjacking in our communities.
Right on. All right, brother. Hey, listen, man, we appreciate you. Thank you for being here again. We rolling out with Blow By Queen Ayasudabe's music. And tomorrow, just a special shout out. August 20th, the season of the Leo is my mother's birthday. So Queen Ayasudabe Ramkisoon, thank you so much. Love you. Appreciate your work all over the world. Thank you for your just raising me and me to be the man that I am, and just the critical thinker, because that's what came out of that. So we're gonna roll out on her music. Queen herself, bro. Enjoy it. Hey, brother, have a beautiful day. If you don't have anything going on, enjoy your event. And the media folks out there, Severn, Maryland, they're having an event today. Back to school, you get an opportunity to get over there to Severn. I'll give you the direct information where it's located, but you definitely want to do that. And next Saturday morning, Annapolis, Maryland, starting from the Navy Memorial Stadium, will be the March on Washington. The actual 60th anniversary March on Washington taking place in the District of Columbia, but it's also a number one of them being held out in the city, the state, as well as the country. And so if you have an opportunity, you may want to participate in the March on Washington 60th anniversary. 10 o'clock, it'll be leaving from the Naval Academy Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland. And also today, the third annual Leading North County Back to School Backpack Appreciation Block Party. Let me give that to y'all again. The third annual Lead and North County Back to School Backpack Appreciation and Block Party. That's going to be being sponsored by Mike Rogers, Council Chief, Gloria Dent, school board member, and is going to be there. So you definitely want to check out all these things that's happening in that community. And that is actually happening at Van Blockman Elementary School, 1140 Reese Road, Severn, Maryland. Van Blockman Elementary School, 1140 Reese Road. Various Day Stamp Morning Show with my good brother Anthony Wilson. We're on our way. Y'all have a beautiful day. I'm going to check out the pregame. Next to you, brother, I'll be down there. I'll catch up with you down at the Delta One Arena supporting Ice Cube in the Big Three. Various Day Stamp saying peace. Good morning.